Hello and welcome everyone. This is Bhavani Klaria and I'm here with Vaishali Shah of Creative ID and Ananya for our 8th live legal update. For many of you who have been watching or have watched previous kind of sessions that we've done, we've changed it slightly. So I am going to be speaking with friends and clients for the next few live sessions that we're doing. So yeah, Vaishali, we've known each other for a long time now, and you're an incredible female entrepreneur. I mean, I obviously say that as a friend and someone with whom we've obviously worked together. And I know you run 2 businesses. You're also involved in kind of your family business. So perhaps you can tell our viewers a little bit about, what you do and your businesses.
I'd love to. Hello, everyone. So I'm Vaishali. I run Creative ID, which is a graphic design, branding and marketing agency for the last 18 years. And I also run Ananya, which is a wedding and event stationery business for the last 12 years. And since September 2011, I've joined the family business, Minerva Trust and Corporate Services, where I'm group head of marketing and a director of the London office.
It's incredible. Like I said before, and thank you to Zed and Tara for joining. Like I said before, you do wear a lot of different hats. And so why I was interested in speaking to you is obviously we work with a lot of businesses and SMEs. And I always find that whole entrepreneur's journey very interesting. And one of the ways that we were kind of doing our sessions before is kind of looking at what's going on in the world around us and the news and really speaking. What I'm interested in doing is speaking to you as an entrepreneur and finding out how the news affects you really. And I guess it's been really timely that we're doing this session today, because what we had over the weekend was that clearly the royal wedding, I mean, it's still in the papers, a few days on. And so, I mean, I know with Ananya you do wedding stationery, so I'm assuming there's been some impact from that.
Definitely. I'd say for the last 3 to 6 months, all we've been talking about in the wedding industry is the royal wedding. What's Meghan going to wear? What are the flowers going to look like? Who's going to be invited? It's been the talking point. And I know everyone was very excited, myself included, to see the royal wedding on Saturday. And now what's very interesting is we're being asked as wedding professionals what we think will be a trend following the royal wedding. So whether it's trends in the florals, how the florals are going to be, or trends in the fact that Meghan walked down the aisle halfway by herself, the fact that her father was
Serena Williams did that as well.
Okay,
interesting fact.
So that's something. So for example, just today I was asked by a well-known wedding blog for my thoughts of how I think the royal wedding, how it will impact future weddings. So I think it's still carrying on, and I think there will be trends. People getting married this year, next year, will be looking at that royal wedding. It was so momentous, and to see what elements they could take from that and incorporate into their weddings.
And I guess it's interesting from our point of view, and thank you to everyone who's joining, Pranav and Satya. If you have questions, please ask us. Interesting from the point of view of someone who doesn't work in the creative industry. So the thing that you mentioned, which I think would be interesting for people who work in the same industry as you, is the thing about trends. So I've spoken to a few people about how people in your industry market, and I think it's significantly different because of the fact that trends can sometimes come and go. I mean, you can tell me otherwise, or the way that we market now is different. So perhaps if you could tell us a little bit about how you would take the trends that you see, and how do you then incorporate them into your business and use them in your marketing?
I think it's very important for both businesses, for Creative ID to see what's happening in the design world, and for Ananya to see what's happening in the wedding and event space, to look at trends. So I'm aware of the trends. Every year I try and predict future trends. But what I do also tell my clients is, let's not create stationery just to be trendy, just to follow a trend. But actually, for me, a wedding invitation is a reflection of the couple, and it's what's meaningful to them and their journey and their story. So let's look at the trends, but actually let's make it relevant and meaningful to the couple. So I wouldn't say, same for fashion, I wouldn't say just follow trends blindly.
No, but I think there are two kind of things I really wanted to talk about with you, was kind of the changing nature of marketing, which is the business bit, and then the intellectual property bit. I guess, I mean, I should let people know that actually Vaishali designed our logo way back in 2013, and and I always find it really interesting, because for people involved in design, you're putting out, obviously your clients are putting out what you have designed for them, because it's part of their branding and part of their identity, and so it's out there. You can't hide it. And we've talked about this, how it's so easy now to take a design and literally just copy it. And so what do you do as a kind of a designer?
Yes,
to try and protect your work?
Exactly. So yes, we create brands, we create designs, especially logo designs. We want them to be as distinctive as possible. We're not an agency that just copies others, a Me Too brand. We want to create something that's distinctive, but we are very aware that in this global business landscape, with e-commerce, with social media, that it is very easy to copy a design, whether it's the logo, whether it's the tagline that we've used. And that's why we work with legal practices like the London Law Practice. And we tell our clients that, look, we've done the branding, but please, let's talk to a law firm. Let's get the brand trademarked. Let's discuss any IP, intellectual property issues, because it is very important. And I think people think that, oh, if you're a small business, you're not going to get caught up in this, that why would somebody want to copy a small business? But that's not the fact. I feel it's every business. Once you're out there, once you're visible, and especially with social media, you need to protect and safeguard your brand as much as possible. You've invested in your brand is going to take you forward. Now let's safeguard that.
I think also the other thing, and I think it ties into the discussion around the marketing, is that everything is so exposed now. Everything is online. If you want to showcase your work, you go online. You're not sending out physical brochures to individual clients. You're putting it online. So that makes it so much easier, I guess, to take a design. And I know you've told me instances of things like that happening.
Just in the last 7 days, I've actually had 2 incidents that I've been made aware of. Where one, we designed a bespoke wedding invitation for a client, and one of the guests, it appears, has recently got married and has used a very similar design to what we created. So obviously the bride is not happy, understands that I had nothing to do with it, but of course it was out there, she received the physical invitation. So it does happen. I had another incident, somebody in the US that emailed me yesterday saying that they liked one of our invitations they'd seen on the website, and they'd gone to their local US printer to have it copied. So sadly, it does happen, and I think that's wherever we can try and take some steps to safeguard it, but it is a worry.
Yeah, and so what do you do? I mean, for entrepreneurs looking to perhaps be in this space, what kind of practical advice then? I know it's very difficult, because I know that, from a legal point of view, things like copyright design, registering your designs and then doing your trademarks are kind of things that we'd advise people to do, and making sure that you've got terms in place that advise or inform the client who's owning what at what point, and when is the intellectual property being passed. But it's the enforcement bit that I think that people in the design industry are probably most concerned with.
Exactly. And where possible, for example, on a website, we'll put a low resolution version, so that if someone wants to download it, they can't take that image. They can get somebody to copy it, but that image wouldn't work with a printer. Similarly, on social media, often you'll see, if you look at our Instagram feed, we don't show a complete design. We may show a corner, we may show a detailing. So again, those are kind of small steps to try and reduce the copying effect.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, as I said, was the marketing. So I know that obviously you started your businesses a while back, and in that time, the way that we market has completely changed. I mean, we were just saying that the reason that we do the Facebook Live is because it's a way of interacting with people making sure we're putting something out there that is relevant, that has content, but is significantly different to the way that maybe it was done 20 years ago or 10 years ago even. So I guess something similar would have happened with Ananya and Creative ID.
Yes, definitely. So I'd say initially a lot of our work came through word of mouth and recommendations. Now social media has an important part to play. Facebook, Instagram, for both businesses, they're very visual. So Instagram works very well for us. And I think also what's important is to humanize the brand. And that's why, for example, Facebook Lives are becoming increasingly popular. This is my first Facebook Live, but it's all part of showing that personality. I believe that people buy people. And so it's showing the personality behind a brand. And I think that's going to continue.
Yeah. And I think that is the one thing you said before. It's about humanizing the business. I mean, that has its plus points and its minus points, because and when you said to me it's the first time I'm doing something like this, I was a bit surprised, because I said, Vaishali, you've been an entrepreneur for so long, and I think it's just also the fact that we as people have to kind of change and adapt a little bit so that we're able to market in the environment now. One thing I did want to talk about, because it came up in the papers again, and I think you pointed it out, Vaishali, was the Facebook data issue, which is, and I'm sure lots of people are aware of this, is that Facebook has had lots of issues around how it's been managing data and so on and so forth. And so from both of our points of view, we were discussing whether something like Facebook is going to continue to be a medium that people use. I mean, what do you think in light of all the, I hesitate to say this because GDPR is coming into force on Friday, but around all the data privacy and protection stuff that's happening now?
I think data privacy and protection is very, very important. And, we have seen that Facebook has lost some of its reputation. And I'm sure as a lawyer, brand reputation is so important. I do think, though, talking to my peers in the industry, we will still have Facebook business pages, but we are noticing that engagement is less. And algorithms on the social media channels are continually changing. So it is actually quite difficult. But yes, we will still have a Facebook presence. For me, what I've found is Instagram seems to be the social media choice, especially from a creative industry. As I said, the work we do, whether it's a logo design, whether it's a new brochure, or it's a baby shower party invitation, is very, very visual. And I think Instagram is working very well for creative industries.
And you can see that, you can see how different industries might adopt different platforms to be able to market. And I'm sure that's probably a trend that you'll probably see in the marketing side of things. The other thing I just kind of wanted to broaden out the conversation to discuss was the other hat we wear, which is Minerva. So perhaps if you tell people a little bit about Minerva, and then, if you tell people about Minerva.
Okay. So Minerva Group is an international fiduciary services business, been in existence for over 40 years. And we offer trust and corporate services and fund administration. We have various offices around the world. And I joined in 2011. It's interesting because we talk to our clients at Minerva about succession planning. And actually, as a family, we had to look at our own succession planning. So it was my father, the chairman, my uncle, and my brother. And they asked me in 2011 whether I wanted to join the business, because they felt that we needed another family member. And what I appreciated was the fact that it was not expected of me, it was not demanded of me, I was asked. And I took 6 months to think about it. And then I decided that, yes, I would join Minerva, but still keep my two other businesses. So yes, I juggle quite a lot, but it was important to be part of that family business. And family business, has its own dynamics.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I think... so I know your family's from Kenya, and we're also from East Africa, and I know that our families knew each other when my grandfather was in Kenya, so our connection goes way back. But it also gives me an understanding of how family businesses work, and certainly from a legal point of view, I can imagine that when you have that intergenerational change, that it kind of, so some people have said to me, younger family members will sometimes say to me, and that, it's worked really well, but we want to somehow just professionalize it a little bit or make it so we're changing the culture sometimes. So did you find any of that? Did you find that there were things that you wanted to do, but, there was, that took a bit more finessing than perhaps if you were not in a family business?
Yes. So the family business does have its own kind of interesting kind of quirks and characteristics. I think why our family business works so well is that we have a shared vision and shared values, which is something very, very important. And there's inherent implicit trust amongst the family members. Mm. So I think that's something that's very, very important and kind of binds us together. But the professionalism is very important. So, for example, we have a group managing director at Minerva. So it's not just the shareholders making all the decisions. We wanted a professional person from the industry with lots of experience. And we've done that for many years. We've had a managing director or group managing director. So that professionalization is very important. And I think that's how you take a business forward.
Yeah, and I think from a legal point of view, we sometimes will say to family businesses, actually just that, have a board in place, have shareholder agreements in place, have these things, not because you're undermining that implicit trust that you do have in a family business, but because so that you are able to then put it on a very professional footing to be able to take it to the next level. Certainly most businesses, as some of our viewers will know, most entrepreneurs, if they're not working in a family business, will have to do those things, and investors are looking for those things, aren't they? So it's quite interesting.
Yes.
And I know you do some of the client management part of that. How have you found that?
So I've enjoyed that. I think what's important with the family business is I felt I had to prove myself, perhaps more than if I was just an employee. And I always believe it's important to play to your strengths. So for me, I'm a people person. I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy connecting people. So it kind of made sense that I would take on a client relationship role with some of our clients. And in particular, one of my focuses is the next generation of our clients, because it makes sense. I'm next generation, so it's relatable for our clients. So I think it's important for a family business to succeed if everyone has kind of clearly defined roles and responsibilities. There's no kind of blurred lines, so everybody knows what they're doing. So I think that's worked well for us.
And it's kind of, as you were saying, it's play to your strengths. So I think, interestingly enough, what can sometimes happen is that in a family business that you get to put in a role, but actually it might not be your core talent or your core skill. So I think that's really well done that you've been able to do that.
Thank you.
In business.
Thank you.
So I mean, I think that it would be, what I also kind of wanted to kind of go on from that was really about how do you find then decision making within the contrast in decision making between your own businesses and then obviously Minerva? Like, do you find that, do you prefer one or the other, or do you prefer working with more people, or do you prefer being the person making all the decisions? I think it's good for entrepreneurs and business owners to know that, because everyone has that conflict at some point.
Yes. So for Creative Idea for Ananya, I am the decision maker. I make the decision and I'm not accountable to anybody, and I go for it. But I understand for a business like Minerva, 180 staff, 7 offices, it's important that it's not just one person making a decision, and there's a board of directors. So yes, it may take a little bit longer for a decision to be passed, or for a decision to be made, but I think it is important. For a small business like Creative Idea in Ananya, it works well, but for a large business like Minerva, family or non-family, I think it's important to
have that collective.
Yes.
It's great. And in terms of, I guess, going forward, actually, no, before we go to that, what I did want to speak to you about was female networking.
Yes.
So it's so you and I met when we were both trustees of Find Your Feet. So we should really plug Find Your Feet here. It's a great charity if viewers haven't heard of it, but really helping some of the poorest with kind of sustainability and kind of production of food. So that's how we met.
Yes.
But also, I've been to some of the networking events that you've organised, and my question to you was, as a female entrepreneur, and having had a business that's kind of spanned over a decade, have you found that the nature of networking has changed, and does it make a difference having female-focused networking?
Very good question, Barbara. I think networking is so important. Networking, whether it's somebody sitting next to you on a plane, whether it's a formal networking event, there are opportunities everywhere. So I think networking is important. You will always find my business card in my handbag. But what I like, for example, about Female Focus, which I head up, which is a women in business network, is that female entrepreneurs or female women in business network differently. I'm sure you'll find the same. There's so many events that I go to where there may be 100 people and there's 4 women. And I do find that it can be a little bit intimidating to kind of break through, whereas having an all-women's network or all-women's event, I just find it's easier, and I think women network differently. It's more about nurturing and kind of facilitating relationships. People feel safe and secure. So I think it's good to have a mixture of both. The kind of general networking, where there's a lot of people, male, female, and then also perhaps more smaller, intimate events where it's just women. So it certainly worked well for us.
I mean, I think the female focus network that you have created, I think is a very good example of female networking, because from my point of view, you get into a room and there are women from lots of different industries, but at a very high level. So, and then at that point, it is somewhat irrelevant whether you're a female or a male, because you're dealing with people who are in positions of responsibility and they can make decisions. So I think that is a really great. I always did wonder about this thing, because I have various different views on the idea of why female networking is different. I mean, you said it's because we're a bit more nurturing, perhaps a bit more supportive. I mean, I don't know about that, but I certainly do feel that there is a difference. There's sometimes a lot less bravado, which is helpful, but I do think the mix is good to have that mix. But certainly the idea of having that you've created a network for women, I found interesting.
Thank you. And I think what's different also with Female Focuses is networking with a difference. So we'll have an activity. So we learnt for one event, we learnt how to make a fascinator before Ascot. We learnt how to do calligraphy. We had somebody from Jersey Pearl talking about pearl. So it's not just having ladies in a room drinking. It's actually you're engaging, being creative, doing something different. So actually, it's a different way. I can't imagine men having a calligraphy workshop or learning about diamonds or pearls. So I think it's the fact that it's networking with a twist, with something else. Which has worked well.
So Pranav has asked a question: bringing together your design work and networking, what ideas do you have for business cards that stand out when attending a networking event? Have you seen any innovative business cards? Thank you so much for your question, Pranav.
Very great question. I think the weight of the card is very important. There are printers that will give you very flimsy cards. My standard kind of business card is 350 grams. My cards are 600 grams. And I have some kind of VIP cards which are 900 grams. So they are very thick and substantial and make a statement. Foiling we've seen a lot of, so whether that's gold foiling, silver foiling, rose gold foiling, really you just want it to stand out. A lot of the designs we do are double-sided, so you can have, let's say, a tagline, or you can put a close-up detail of the logo on the reverse. So I've seen some wacky business cards in different shapes and sizes. One can go down that route, but I think even just on the traditional 85mm by 55mm business card, you can still make it stand out through the design.
I think that the question is interesting because it's about how visual we are as people, and because we do get bombarded with, I think, quite a lot of information now. So how is it that you're standing out in a room? How is it that you're standing out online? The business card, I don't know, I've had people say to me the business card can sometimes be obsolete. I don't know. I sometimes remember people because I like their card.
Yes.
And so it's a very useful tool, I think, to still be able to go out and meet people. So, yeah, we'll see. I think, and every culture, I don't know whether you know this, but like, so they say, for example, in Japan, if you get a business card, you're supposed to take it in a different way.
Yes.
So, and I know in America, the networking is slightly different. So it's interesting how something so small has become so significant in creating business relationships.
Exactly. But I think what's also important is it's not just a matter of giving the business card out, it's the follow-up. And I think that's where people will remember you, because there are events where it's kind of how many cards can you give out? So almost a competition.
Yeah.
Who can give out the most cards? For me, that's not the case. It's give out the cards, but then follow up with a personalized email.
Yeah.
And try and arrange a meeting.
I did some of that just today.
Very good.
So, no, I think that we've pretty much covered a lot of the topics I wanted to with you, Vishali. But I know that we're also sitting down for, I don't know whether some people have already heard, we did a series of podcasts at the beginning of the year, and I'm doing a second series starting in the summer, and Vishali will be joining. Thank you very much again, Vishali.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
And really talking about similar things, but possibly with, you know, multiple kind of views around a round table. So please keep an eye on our Facebook page, and we'll tell you about it. But hopefully that's given everyone a little bit of information about intellectual property and marketing. Vishal, if you tell people a little bit, you know, where they can find you, that'd be great.
Thank you. So for the Creative ID design branding, the website is creative-id.com. And for the stationery business, it's ananyacards.com, ANANYACARDS.com. And for Minerva, it's minerva-trust.com. And if you go to any of those sites, you'll be able to see from the homepage links to our social media channels. So hopefully you can follow me on social media and see what I'm up to.
Brilliant. And we'll put some links up on our Facebook page as well. So, but thank you to everyone for joining us. We're really pleased to be back. And thank you, Vishali, for joining me today.
Thank you very much. My first Facebook Live. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And we'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.